was very popular. People did air guitar for money. And they would have these preliminary rounds where these really awful people would try to pretend they could sing. And they weren't very good at it. But usually one person a week was good at it. So at the end of these preliminaries was the finals. And the finals was the biggest deal ever. And I was asked to host the finals. And it was like the Oscars for me. It was really, really, really exciting. So I will take you from, let me see, where should I start? All right, I'll start here. My first paid gig in comedy came about 6 months after I started doing stand-up comedy. It wasn't at the Comedy Gallery at Dudley Riggs. It was at First Avenue. First Avenue. My Carnegie Hall. My Royal Albert Hall. My name your own dream and then multiply it by 1,000 hall. That's how big of a deal this was for me. It was 1984, and for years, every Thursday night, the club had an air guitar contest called the Great Pretenders. And the contest needed a new MC. It had been a regular gig for comedians Jeff Cesario and Joel Madison, but they were moving to LA, so they passed the gig down to me. I was excited because way before my foray into comedy, Christine and I and many of our friends made these contest nights must-see clubbing. There was always one or two performers who were really creative and doing full-on thriller zombie numbers or interpreting Duran Duran's Girls on Film Video, complete with the pith helmet hairdos and the sumo wrestlers. But most of these pretenders couldn't even pretend they were good. They were the lip-syncing equivalent of drunkenly walking out of a public restroom with barf in your hair and your skirt tucked in your tights. And that's what lured us down each week. The promise that there would always be some dreadful rendition of, oh, Mickey, you're so fine, blah, 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 hey, Mickey. A few fabulous queens doing It's Raining Men. And week after week, the same chubby black woman dragging her Jack Sprat boyfriend down to the club and mouthing to him the lyrics to And I Am Telling You from Dreamgirls. It was like the American Idol auditions every week. And I could always be counted on to provide brutal running commentary to everyone within a 20-foot radius of us in the audience. So when some poor woman would finish doing a Romeo Boyd song, I might have said something like, honey, after seeing that, no one would like you better if you slept with them. I guess it's fair to say that unbeknownst to me, but apparently not to Christine, apparently not to Christine, I was honing my craft. Now that Jeff and Joe were gone, I was extra honored that they thought I was the comic most appropriate, or inappropriate, to take over the gig, and truth be told, I was. I had spent the previous 3 years every single night at that club. I was the alternative comic, sporting a serious swoop hairdo worthy of a Patrick Nagel lithograph to prove it. The alternative to what remained a mystery. The gig paid $50 and came with free drinks and my own coveted spot on the permanent guest list. There was no bigger reward than being able to work the same stage as the replacements and Prince. Now, I never thought my performance would give, anything, make an impact on my local heroes, but I didn't care. And to be honest, it was more of a job than a performance. My role was to keep the acts coming on and off stage and to kill time between each pretender with my sort of Simon Cowell-ish barbs. Slam the people in the audience, or diss the new Culture Club video. In other words, stick to jokes about anything that was in the zeitgeist of the lives of these club rats. So these acts, I didn't really feel bad. I really didn't feel bad about being mean. They were people who would be singing if they could sing, but they couldn't. And now they proved they sucked at pretending to sing. When they selected pretending, how bad could I really feel for them? Nowadays on TV, they reward the cream of the crap. And the hosts are twice as scathing and get paid millions. Only I had stayed shallow and mean. Well, I evolved from shallow anyway. So, comes the finals. And when I was asked to host the finals, man, it felt like the Oscars. There was a special stage for me, dead center, with my own steps, right in front of a huge video screen. We even had a rehearsal. When I spoke, the spotlight shone only on me, Lizz Winstead, host of the finals of The Great Pretenders. I mean, there was French onion dip and carrots in the dressing room. So what would I wear? The finals were held on a hot Minnesota August night when the average temperature is 90 degrees with 90% humidity. It was the kind of weather so sweat-inducing that within a minute, you'll look like a Robert Motherwell, or maybe Robert Motherwell did your makeup. So wardrobe was tricky. I wanted to wear something provocative, punk rock, sexy, feminine, glamorous, and lightweight. Naturally, I chose a ragged old 50s wedding dress that I found at Ragstock. This was 3 months before Like a Virgin, just by the way. The dress was perfect. It was strapless, glamorous, and feminine, with a plunging sweetheart neckline, sexy, and had only minimal yellowing in the pits, punk rock. It was obvious that one of the previous owners had an "if I cut this off, I can wear it again" delusion, and had snipped it in a precision-free way so it came way up above my left knee and just down over my right, provocative and punk rock. And the rest of the hemline was made of varying niche links and layer upon layer of netting, which made for a perfect bell-shaped waist to knee. Fuck the lightweight part. How hot could it be in an oversold nightclub in the dog days of a Minnesota summer? Finally, the big day arrived. The air conditioning at First Avenue had been out for 24 hours. In the club, it felt like the Eye of Sauron. And it was only 3 p.m. The performers were panicking during rehearsal, sweating through their adamant war paint and their full leather. Imagine how hot it would be when the club was full. I was very glad I had my own platform, because I feared I would slip and fall in the river of eyeliner I knew would flood the stage. An hour before showtime, with still no air conditioning, I put on my gown. I accessorized with a black pair of tights, combat boots, and a black velvet 1940s hat with kind of a ring with big netting that came over my face. Sort of like Veronica Lake as interpreted by Ricky Lake. And my last most brilliant touch, blood red lipstick. I had never felt more dazzling in my entire life. But within 5 minutes, even before getting on stage, I was slop sweating. I mean, enhancing the yellowing of the pits and feeling my belly button fill up, drip, drip, the overflow running down my stomach into various portions of my underpinnings. Now, there was only one way to get partial relief, and that was to get rid of my underwear and the black tights. We were 5 minutes from curtain, and I had to unstick myself out of them. The relief was instant. I spotted my pal Christine in the crowd and waved her over, and I handed her the tights as the lights started to go down. And just as they were about to introduce me, Christine looked at me like I was about to jump out of an airplane and hadn't checked my parachute. "What if you can see through the dress?" All I had been worried about is whether I had lipstick on my teeth. Okay, stand right there and look very closely and give me the thumbs up or down. Now, I only have to talk for a minute at the beginning and introduce the judges. Please welcome your host. If it's bad, I can put it back on before the second act. Comedian Lizz Winstead. I walk up on stage, ready for utter humiliation. I forget to ask Christine if I had lipstick on my teeth. So, add to that the dearth of dignity I was sure was about to befall me. Please God, please God, please God, do not have this dress act as a peep window. I just prayed. As I came on stage and I climbed up my stairway to what was sure to be an instant ignominy, I was dying inside, frantically licking and sucking my teeth. I hit the platform, the spot came on, and there I stood as 1,500 people all stared at me. "Keep talking, have energy, you've never looked hotter," I told myself. Good evening and welcome to the finals of The Great Pretenders. We have 12 acts tonight, and one of them will walk away with the title, Great Pretender, and $1,500. Thunderous applause, the audience screams, they were psyched. and it seemed they weren't looking at me as if I had been sent from the circus. I looked over at Christine, she gave me a hearty thumbs up, and they couldn't see my lady slice. Crisis averted. God is good. I breathed a huge sigh of relief. I got the housekeeping out of the way, I ran through how the night was going to go, plugged some of the upcoming shows, introduced the judges. They sat at a table on risers behind the dance floor. There was Chrissy, the woman who was the booker of the club and the one who I needed to impress the most. 2 journalists I should want to impress the most, and Vanity from Vanity 6, the one I really wanted to impress the most. Vanity. Wow, right? I noticed the flashlight from the DJ booth, which was my cue to introduce the first act. The night was off and running. Are you ready for your first contestants? They screamed. I asked, are you ready for your first contestants? They scream again. And the video screen behind me slowly rolls up. The audience screams with delight. Your first act! The crowd was going crazy. I was really psyched. But unbeknownst to me, they weren't screaming because they were excited. They were screaming because the back of my dress was rolling up right along with the scream. And now so much fabric has been pulled that the front of the dress splits open. That was when I noticed. It was hard not to. My feet were 3 inches off the ground. And then a lurch, and the scream suddenly stopped, broken by the weight of my layers of fabric gumming up the mechanisms that made it roll up. And then I felt the breezy air blowing against my, this was not happening! I was hanging from the screen, trapped with my Jesus exposed to God and Vanity and everybody in the club. And to think that 5 minutes before I had worried about lipstick on my teeth. I now realize why people were screaming, and then they started to laugh. The laughter started slowly, and then it built. Distorted and ominous. Hanging there, I look into the crowd. I saw groups of people cackling, couples pointing, doubling over. I saw strangers, random people I sort of knew. Christine, Chrissy, and Vanity. Oh God, Vanity was laughing at my vaginity. I began to feel like Carrie at the prom. I was in panic mode. I realized I had a split second to do something to turn this around, so I went with my instinct. I kept talking. But with my big 80s vagina, the club's immediate focal point, I had to get people to listen to what I was saying, so it had better be funny. Funny like I had never been funny before, and maybe would never be again. This was about survival. I decided to run with the Carrie visuals, and they just kept coming. Well, the only way this could be worse is if a bucket of pig's blood fell on my head, I said to the crowd. They continued laughing, but the tone changed. They were laughing at the joke. They had gone from laughing at me to laughing with me. I can turn this around, I thought. Just keep talking. Just keep talking. Try not to move too much in an attempt not to trigger a bigger malfunction. But just keep talking. So I continued with the Carrie theme. Mama told me you would laugh at me. Mama told me you would laugh at me. I continued with that Carrie twang. The crowd laughed again. Now they were clapping. Then it subsided. And they were waiting for my next line. Now they were listening to me. The fact that I hung there with my she-joy center stage didn't seem to matter. Well, maybe you've seen my vagina, but at least I'm not showing my dirty pillows. Well, that one got full of applause. I heard some guy actually say, she must have planned this. I'm like, dude, if you want to think that, go ahead, spread the word. Liz Winstead goes to any lengths for her audience. I had one Carrie reference left, plus it was 1984, so I combined it with a topical reference. So I was like, let's call this Carrie 2 Electric Boogaloo. Oh, they roared at that one. I was bad job killing it. Now I was out of material. And I started to soak back into the reality that I was hanging out and hanging there by a mechanism that could crash down on me at any moment, leading to an obituary that would read, "Comedian dies doing porn act on stage." Then I saw the adorable stage manager, Joey Grimes, climb on stage with a pair of scissors. I forgot how cute he was. He looked like Spicoli in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. We talked a lot about music and comedy. He knew everything about all those power pop bands of the 80s, like the DBs and the Bongos, and he loved Joel Hodgson. And he had the coolest collection of vintage cowboy shirts I have ever seen. I always thought he was dreamy, but just way out of my league. I mean, he was older, he lived alone, he was the stage manager at First Avenue. I was a kid. He looked like a movie star. I was 23, a struggling comedian with 2 jobs, and now he and the entire city of Minneapolis knew I had an ill-tended girly garden. I forgot he was here. Joey hopped onto the riser with me, all business, and without even looking at me, said into his walkie-talkie, "Cutter mic." Boom. The lights dim, the music starts like nothing had happened. People just started dancing. Oh shit. Did I just bomb? Is the show canceled? Have I messed up? I know Carrie came out like 4 years ago, but it seemed like the jokes were okay. They laughed. I did not make that up in my head. Joey took off his cowboy shirt, tossed it over his shoulder, and whispered very close, "I have to cut you out of this dress. I'm going to stand in front of you when it falls. Put the shirt on quickly. You are hilarious. Can I take you out for dinner this week?" I never realized how big my crush on Joey Grimes was until that very moment. My heart squealed, "Oh my God, dinner with Joey Grimes. Joey Grimes wants to have dinner with me. Wait, do you like my vagina or my jokes?" I couldn't even think about that right now. I still had to host a whole show. "Can I wear your shirt the rest of the night?" "Are you already trying to steal my stuff? We haven't even had dinner yet." "I know, but I've already shown you the goods." Oh, I was laughing so hard I hardly noticed. Liar. Joey Grimes. He kissed my cheek and pulled the mounds of netting out of the screen, and voila, it continued to roll up. He signaled to the booth and said, "Your mic's back on, you want to start the show?" I just finished buttoning up my cowboy shirt, and Joey headed back down the stairs. The music faded and the spotlight came back on me. I had a show to host. My show. "Welcome back, people. I just realized, I hope you can't see through my shirt." The audience was mine. "Please welcome your first act." You know, no one can ever remember who it was. I know whoever it was didn't win. The winner was a group of students from Macalester College doing a big, hilarious production of Convoy, led by this young theater major named Peter Berg. Google him. It's kind of worth it. So that night, very early in my career, I developed a sense of confidence that an entire lifetime may not have taught me. I took a horrible moment and defined it in my terms, and I defined it as funny. The audience members didn't forget about the badge-a-thon, but they looked at it as part of the night. They had moved on the second I gave them a reason to. The attention span of the human mind is very short. People forget the lessons of 9/11 or Hurricane Katrina, so they're not going to remember my vagina, never mind a shitty joke I tell, unless I allow it to be the last word. And that choice is mine.